Hey guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. Today's video it's a very exciting video. This is the first palette that Poppy and Fluff Cosmetics has come out with. This is called the Indigo Dreams palette. They initially had a brand called Mad Witch Cosmetics, which now one of the owners let me get this correct. One of the co-owners tried to separate it out with the Mad Witch Cosmetics, and the owner is Steph, which is now the owner of Poppy and Fluff Cosmetics. So this is their palette. This Indigo Dreams palette will launch on Saturday the 11th January at 5 p.m. GMT. I will put all the details in Eastern Standard Time in the description box below for you guys, but this is how the palette's color story is. It's a beautiful array of it's like a spring palette. It has some pinks, blues, greens, purples all together. I feel like this is such a beautiful spring palette to have in your collection. I am going to create some live swatches to eye looks clearly for you guys. So if you guys are ready, let's begin. This palette is going to retail for £28, which I feel like is a great price for this palette. It also comes with a mirror too. So let's begin with live swatching this palette because I feel like everybody's here for it. This palette definitely has like 4 shimmers and 8 mattes. Let's begin swatching. The first shade is called Playtime, which has like a green base, but it has like blue and purple shimmers running throughout it. Where are we gonna do it? Let me take this watch off. It's a very, very thin formula, but I hope you can see. Let me do a second swatch. There you go. But I hope you can see that shift, see that green, blue, purple, green coming through. Because it's a thin formula, I am very sure that this is not going to crease, but okay, I see purple too. So I see a strong purple when I look at it, like blue to a purple shift, but you clearly can see that green also coming through. It has a green base to it. That's the difference. The next 3 mattes, let's swatch it all together. Long Walks, which is like more of a murky green, but very like it's a pale pink. Then we have the shade Trouble, which is a matte black, very pigmented. Then we have the shade Snuggles, which is a very wearable mauve shade. There you go. Those are the next 3 shades. So let's swatch that. Yep, very, very pale. It's like an olive leaning pale green shade. That mauve shade is so amazing. So let's look at that. Those are the first 4 shades of the first row of the palette. Very, very pretty. I'm so in love with that mauve. That mauve and black together would be so amazing with the shimmers here in this palette. Very, very pretty. Let's move on to the second row. We have Indigo, which is like a deeper gray purple shade. Then we have the shade Kisses, which is a pale pink shade. And then we have the shade Sweetie, which is like a hot pink shade. And then we have the shade Catch, which is like a lavender to a green duochrome. So let's swatch that. These are the 3 mattes. Very, very pretty. Ooh, so pretty. These mattes are very creamy too. This Cat shade definitely has that lavender to a green gold, I would say. Again, a very thin formula, but very, very sparkly. So those are the next 4 shades of the palette. I love that shade. That can be such a transformative shade based on what matte you're placing underneath. Very, very pretty. Okay, let's move on to the last row. The first shade is Devotion. It's like a creamy matte lavender shade, like a mid-tone purple, very pretty. Then we have the shade Loyalty, which is like a blue purple pink shade, but also has a green shift to it. Then we have the shade Pure Love, which is a very pale pink, icy pink, I would say, shade. Again, very, very sparkly. Then we have the shade Affection, which is like a mid-tone baby blue shade. There you go. Those are the next 4 shades. Let's watch it. That lavender with that shade is going to be stunning. Ooh, that's such a stunning sparkly shade. Oh, that's a very nice topper. We have this blue. Let's double swatch that with my little finger. It's not performing well. There you go. So those are the next 4 shades. Very pretty. And that's the entire palette swatched for you guys. Very pretty, very sparkly. Perfect for spring, right? Really, really pretty. Okay, now once you've seen all the swatches in action, let's move on to the 2 looks that I created using this palette. Okay, let's begin our first look with the Indigo Dreams palette. I'm feeling a lot more pink red. Maybe we'll deepen it out with this black too. That's my vision right now. So let's begin. I am going to start with that red shade called Sweetie. And this is more of like a, I won't even call it a red. It's like a hot pink when I am taking it on the brush, and it's picking it out really, really well on the brush. So I'm going to take that. Yeah, it's pretty much like a hot pink shade. So I'm going to tap it right in the outer corner and then blend it and bring it towards the crease. And this is going to be mostly a crease shade, I would say. Just try that. It's blending very, very nicely. At this point of time, I've not swatched it, but I'm pretty sure by the time you are watching it, you've already seen the swatches. The time that it is getting revealed is my anniversary, and you will see it as soon as it's getting revealed. So happy anniversary to me. It's been 11 years. Yeah, it's blending really, really nicely. And there's not like much kick up in the pan too. Like, look at that. So which is really, really good. I'm still tapping off the edges. I'm like tapping off the brush just to avoid anything, which I generally do. Okay, I'm gonna take that same shade on the lower lash line too. Oh, I did it on both the eyes. I wanted to do it. What am I doing now? I wanted to do 2 different eye looks on both the eyes. Okay, wait. Let me just clean this up and come, okay? Okay, I took it out as much as I could without disturbing the makeup. So I'm just blending this out. Now I'm going to dip into this shade Kisses, the pale pink shade. And I'm going to use the same brush, just wiping off the excess. Dip into that shade Kisses. The Kisses shade definitely has a little bit of kick up. And then I'm going to take that on the inner part of the crease and meshing it with that hot pink shade just to blend everything out. I'm sure you can see the flying of the eyeshadow. And I think it's the nature of the eyeshadow. That's what the good part is. It's blending together very, very nice. And it is showing up on my skin. So that's really, really pretty. Once we have that all blended, I'm going to take that same shade Kisses on the lower lash line just to blend that hot pink shade out. For the extreme outer corner, I'm going to take the shade Trouble, the black matte. And I'm just going to take that on the extreme outer corner and just deepen it out a tad bit. I went with a very light hand because it's easy to build a black rather than to take out black from the eye. I'm really happy with how it's blending with that pink. Definitely kick up in the pan again with black. So once we have that, I'm just going to take that same black on the outer corner of the lower lash line. Just a tad bit or a lot. I'm going to go back into that Sweetie shade, the hot pink, on the same brush, and I'm just melting both of the shades together. Okay, now that we can easily see that gradient from light pink to hot pink and to black, let's move on to the shimmers. I am going to take a little bit of glitter glue. I'm going to take this shade Playtime, and then I'm going to go into that light pale pink shade, which is Pure Love. So let's go into Playtime and place that right in the center And this is like, I see blue, purple, green. It's a thin formula, but it is very sparkly. I like a thin formula just so that it doesn't crease on my eyelid, which is like a plus point in my opinion. Now once we have that, I'm just gonna blend the edges of that shimmer with that black matte. No additional product. And then I'm gonna dip into that Pure Love shade, which is that pale baby pink shade. And then I'm just gonna tap it right there in the inner part of the crease. Very, very sparkly. On the eyes, it's looking like icy, whitey, like white pink. Very pale pink. At least on my eyelids, if you see it from in front, I feel like you will say, oh, that's a sparkly white shade rather than a pink. But very, very sparkly. For the inner corner, I am going to dip back into the shade Kisses, which is that pale pink matte. And then just brighten that out. Once we have that, I'm going to just finish off this eye with some liner and mascara, and I'll get right back. For the lips, I'm taking the ABH lipstick in Brownie. It's a deep dark brown shade. That's my first look. I love how this look turned out. It's definitely icy, but with those warm pinks, it is making it more like Valentine's Day, I would say. It's like a goth Valentine's Day. I really loved. And with this lip Brownie from ABH, I feel like it just paired very, very well. Okay, let's move on to the second eye look. Of course, you know that I have to dip into purples. So I am definitely going to dip into these two purples. So let's begin. I am going to start with this shade Indigo, the deepest purple in the palette. I'm going to take that in the outer corners. Look how stunning that purple is. I clearly have a soft corner for purples. And it's more like a gray purple, which I love. And this is the shade Indigo. I'm just tapping it on the outer corner, but I'm going to take the same shade on the lower lash line too. I'm going to take the shade Devotion, this one. Not much fallout here. I'm going to take that, melt it with that Indigo shade. And it blends so nicely with each other. That lavender is so pretty. You can only imagine, like on a paler skin tone, it'll pop really nicely. And even on the darker skin tone, I feel like it'll pop very nicely as a highlighting shade. Very pigmented. So once we have that lavender all across the crease, blended into that Indigo shade, I'm just going to take that Indigo shade again and just mesh it. And just mesh it with that lavender. I don't want to lose that Indigo at all. Taking that Devotion shade again, that lavender, and just blending it on the lower lash line. For the inner corner, I am going to take this shade Long Walks, this pale green. We can go either direction. We can either go Long Walks or this blue. But I feel like that blue Affection shade is a little bit more mid-tone. So let's go into this green. It's pale enough for me, but if you are of a lighter skin tone, I would say this would be like your crease shade. Okay, so once we have that, let me put some NYX glitter glue on my eyelid. Okay, I am going to take the rest of the two shimmer shades, this shade as well as this shade. So let's start off with this shade called Loyalty, and this is definitely a multi-chrome. I can see purple, blue and green. On my eyes, I see majority purple. But I'm sure when I shift or the light hits differently, it will show the other shades too. Again, a thin formula, but very dimensional. I will update it in the comment section below whether it creased or not, just so that you are aware. I have a creasy eyelid, so I definitely like to inform you guys whether it creases or not. For the inner corner, I mean in a part of the eyelid. I'm gonna go back into this shade, Catch. And this seems like a lavender to a green shifting shade. We'll see. Oh yeah. Oh, that played so well with that green in the inner corner. I'm very, very happy. That was not planned at all. Because I've not swatched this palette as yet. Didn't know where is it gonna shift, but that meshes so beautifully. There you go. Let's dip into this shade, Snuggles, this one. And I'm just gonna take that on the lower lash line. Just right there, okay? Let me finish off this eye with some liner and mascara and I'll get right back. And that is my second eye look. I really, really love the way how this turned out. Of course, I love my purples. So it's not a surprise to anybody that I'm so excited for this side. I really, really love it. This palette would retail for 28 pounds. I feel like for 28 pounds, this is an amazing palette to have, especially if you love the color story of like pinks, purples, blues, greens together. I feel like there's a good variety of shades here. How many shades did I not use? I think there's only one shade, this Affection shade, that I did not use. But rest of the shades I did use, and I feel like the looks came out really, really well. And there's so much variety that can be done with this palette. I definitely feel like blues and purples would go together. Reds and pinks would go together. Reds and blues will go together. This green and purple will go together. Blue and purple will go together. There's a mauve shade also, which can go so well with this like deep indigo shade, and that can create such an amazing look. I feel like the quality is right there. I do not have like much things like negative things to say about the palette because I feel like the blendability was there. There was a little bit of kickback in the pan, so try and do your eyes first. It was not a big problem for me because I don't see any fallout on my face, but I just like tapped off my brush and it was good to go. Nothing outrageous or anything. But that's all for today. You guys let me know out of the two looks which one was your favorite. But that's all for today. If you did like this video, you know what to do. Do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell so that you're notified every time that I post next. I generally upload 3 videos every single week, every Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays at 9 AM Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.